Okay, we're going to dive in today. I'm introducing Christiane David, who is a life and money coach, and I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself and share a little bit about why she started her business.
Thank you so much for having me, Mary Jo. I actually lo love your name. I didn't tell you this, but I love the
You.
name completely. So I'm Christiane David, life and money coach from Green Wealth Legacy. This is a financial coaching company that I built with my sisters. There's four of us coaches. And we were inspired from our own personal story. We each have four different paths that we took in our lives when it comes to money. But the common denominator is that money was a mystery and it was this thing that just created a lot of negative emotions. And for me personally, I was an overspender. I was an underfeeler. And what I mean by that is I did not understand the itches and urges that I was feeling in my body were not just that my body wanted me to listen to. Instead, I would just go and spend money. If you've watched the movie The Confession of a Shopaholic,
Have
the
not.
movie so the movie makes it look super fun to spend money and to be in debt, but like that was my life and that was not fun at all. It was rigged with stress and pressure and anxiety and deeply afraid of the future. And when I finally figured out how to solve my money problems by changing my relationship with money, changing the way I viewed money, the way I viewed myself. Because in reality, I recognized that it was really how I was viewing myself that was affecting how I was managing money. When I figured that out, something emerged out of that process is what I call today the financial confidence process. And it's the same thing that my sisters and I used to clean ourselves up. And then we were like, wait, four women who struggled so much financially have solved their problems using the same process. This has to be something that could be useful. And we started working with families, and now we're supporting women to build a better relationship with money, starting from within. And then that way it facilitates it for them to make more money, to manage the money they do make very well, and to dream and give themselves permission to do all the things they actually want to do that we're so afraid of because of programming and society and just all this noise that we hear. So that's where Green Wolf Legacy was born from.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that hits heavy. I feel like as young kids, like we're just taught like women are bad with money. And then we
Mhm.
take that story and we run with it and then we're, knee deep in debt and we're like, okay, well my closet's full of clothes, but I'm not happy.
Yes,
So
yes.
I totally relate, and I think a lot of people listening will either relate or, they might also be like, okay, like I want to shift my path before I get knee deep in debt. So tell us a little bit about how to truly transform your relationship with money. This is, I know something for me, like when it comes to like creating a relationship with money, it can sound a little bit silly and cheesy, but
Mhm.
at the same time, like when I started treating my money like my bestie or like my loving relationship, a lot changed. A lot changed for me. So tell us a little bit about what that transformation looks like for you and maybe your clients and yeah, and how
Yeah.
people can really start, shifting that.
Yeah, and this is something I find familiar, very common with women. It starts with honestly taking yourself seriously enough to understand that money is very important. You are very important. You matter deeply. You are the nexus of society, to be honest, to be truthful. Women are the nexus of society. And women don't respect themselves enough. That's where it comes from because that's why I always say your relationship with money is a reflection of your relationship with yourself. Because we take ourselves as the last member of society, because that's how society treats us. And you stay long enough listening to someone disrespecting you, you start to disrespect yourself. So if we grew up in an environment where 50 years ago women were not even allowed to have their own bank accounts without a man endorsing
Yeah.
them. So women grow up in a culture where they're second class citizens, or maybe not even a citizen at all, right? And so you have to start taking yourself seriously, recognizing that you are actually very important, which means what you want matters. And one of the tools you're going to use to achieve what you want is money. So money is very important. It's not the most important, but it's very important. So when you start to understand that, then you realize, okay, so if I matter, so how I treat myself matters. And the minute you start to treat yourself with decency and respect and love, then your money starts to align. I always say that that's the byproduct. Yes, we want more money. We want to have a better relationship with money, but it starts with the relationship you have with yourself.
That is so beautiful. And yeah, it's like that direct, like law of compensation, and that, we mirror back what is inside of us. And if we're treating ourselves with no compassion, if we're treating ourselves like we're just the last person that matters, then that's what we're gonna get back, which is so sad. We deserve so much more. Yeah, and I love what
Way
you said
more.
about like 50 years ago, like we couldn't even, open our own bank account. Like that, I know that that seems like so long, but at the same time, like it's still within our mindsets because we've grown up from parents who grew up from parents. You know what I mean? It's still so
Hmm.
close and we carry those generational patterns for so long. So
Yeah.
long. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have the negative bias is the most powerful force inside of us. So we latch onto negative things, negative narratives way longer and stronger than anything positive. So if we grew up in a society, in a culture where women are not as valuable and are not treated well, and money is mystical, this secret, this hidden thing, then our brain is going to attach to that negative narrative because the truth is our brain doesn't actually want us to grow and expand. There's a part of our brain that does that, but it has to be turned on. The part of our brain that's always on doesn't want us to grow and expand.
Yeah.
And so if we don't intentionally decide to change our narratives around money, then it's not going to happen. And there's a rare percentage of humans who grew up in a beautiful money culture where their parents showed them everything, taught them everything. And that's wonderful, but that's not the average person.
No, no. And I think for us, like now it's our responsibility to learn as women so that we can teach our daughters and even just our son, like this is how we treat, women and money. And I think that that's so important. So, okay.
Extremely important. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us a little bit about you talk about creating a simple like spending plan. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
So part of what I do with my clients is we recognize that's the process that I went through myself is there's the logistics of money and then there is also who you're being, your energy around money. So those are two powerful things that you want to really like that's your puzzle, your emotional level with money and then what you actually do tangibly. And I think as a society, we focus so much on what we do when we don't realize that those actions have to be fueled by who you are. So the doing is really having a spending plan, a budget, right? Now, I don't call it a budget because honestly, my brain is I'm very visual. So as I speak, I use words that help me picture what I'm talking about. So I love a money plan because when I'm talking about a money plan, it gives me a vision of me deciding how to spend my money on purpose. So that puts me in a really good mindset. And you want to have a debt payoff plan if you do have debt. The average American does have debt. So most of our clients come to us with debt. We do have some that don't, which is a beautiful thing. And if you have debt, it's also a beautiful thing. But you do want a debt payoff plan. And what's so fascinating is that even if you do not have debt, you do want to know how to navigate the world with debt or without it. So education is paramount. You do want to understand your relationship with your credit and what that is serving and how to use that well. You do want to understand what you're going to do in the future. So future planning, all of the things, retirement, investment, life insurance. So we do your full financial life in in a progressive step process. But most importantly, we do set you up for who you're being when it comes to money so that those things that you do are now more intentional and not just happenstance. Because that we live in a world where people are doing a lot of things and it's not creating the results they want. And then I realize it's because of where they're coming from.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I have a lot of clients that kind of, they come to me and it's like, I have this issue, here's where I'm at. I want to grow my money. But and just as an example, a recent client was like, I've always been the screw up, and if you're coming from that place of like, I've always been the screw up, and you're thinking that thought and you're feeling that feeling, like the actions that you take are going to align with that. So when you start
Hmm.
being the kind of person who's a good stewardship of money, like you feel that feeling, and that feeling like drives you towards taking the action that needs to happen. And I love that you call it a spending plan versus like a budget, because so many of us feel it's kind of like a diet versus just like a health plan, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like it just
exactly.
feels so less restrictive to the brain because I mean, our brains are so powerful. They're like, okay, you're restricting me from all the things that I love right now, and then they're just gonna shut off and be like, nope.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why creating that plan has to come from what do I want versus what should not have. I think that we're taught to make a list of all the things we shouldn't have. You
Yeah.
shouldn't go to Starbucks. You shouldn't go to the concert. You shouldn't travel more than once or whatever, you know? And it's really dangerous to think of life that way because that is not, like, if you think about it, when you're born, you're as a baby you're only exposed to what you can have,
Yeah.
which builds your desire for life and abundance. But then we become adults and we throw all those rules out of the window and start focusing on what we shouldn't have, what we didn't accomplish, how far we haven't gone. And it's like, no, no, no. Your money plan, your spending plan is the list of all the things you're saying yes to from your desire. And you can have all of it. I promise. It's not that complicated. But you just have to come from a place of, I am this person. Because wealthy people, wealth comes from planning. So if you think, oh, I'm not going to budget because it's too scary and restrictive, you will not grow your money.
Yeah.
You're not going to grow your wealth.
Yeah. 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 So beautiful.
So,
So, okay, so tell me a little bit. I had a question pop in my mind. This is off topic here, but say you have a client come to you and she has a lot of debt, but she also loves going and getting a tan and her nails done, and she loves that kind of stuff, and like her yoga membership and all of these more like, the the debt leverage versus the asset you know,
mm-hmm.
tell us a little bit more about how you would help this client. Would you recommend that she should maybe not be getting those things right away? Or what's the plan that you help her with so that she can have the things that she wants and still be able to grow and expand and reach the goals she wants?
You know, I love this so much because this is really what who I was. I didn't want to
Yeah,
create a budget because I thought it was restrictive.
yeah,
So I just wanted to have all the things and never have to say no to myself. So when a client comes to me now and she has debt that she wants to pay off, especially if it's high interest debt, and then she also wants to keep living her life without restriction, the first part of our process is awareness, just knowing what has created the results you have right now. That is the most powerful thing anyone can do to achieve the life they want. Because what is happening right now before you build awareness is you're living your life based on what you think you want,
yeah,
based on what people have told you you should want. And when you build awareness and recognize what is creating the results you have right now, you start to realize that you have taken on a lot of belief systems that are not from you, that you've made up, your brain has created based on scarcity and lack of deep awareness. And you start to acknowledge that there are so many things that I do right now that I don't actually want. So I don't recommend my clients what they should do with their money. Never. I never tell them what to
Mm.
do.
I love it.
But when we build that awareness, because that's exactly what happened to me, and this is what happens with my clients, you start to recognize, wait, I don't actually want to go to that concert. I don't love that music. I just went because my girlfriend said I was going to go.
Um,
But the truth is, I don't. Or maybe I like doing my nails myself instead of going to the salon. It's like there's so many things, and then they start to see how their behavior change. I just had a client telling me they went on this road trip for 3 weeks. They had so much fun, and they only went out to eat one time because they realized, do we really actually like going out to dinner every night when we're on vacation? No, we don't.
yeah,
Isn't
it
that
hurts my soul.
amazing? Right. And I never told them, no, you can't spend all that money. No, I never do that. But it's just the idea of them really tapping into themselves, starting to connect back to their true selves, help them acknowledge we really love just spending time with our family members and, I don't know, hiking, all the fun stuff they did, and not have to go out to dinner every night. And they had the best time.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. I will not be about telling you, oh, here's the plan. We're going to cut all the things out. No, no, no. That is such a natural process that happens to you. You make that decision because a process allows you to tap into who you truly are. And when you start falling in love with yourself, you want to please yourself. You want to make yourself happy, and your choices starts to show that.
Mhm. That makes so much sense. It's kind of, it just reminds me so much of my process of losing weight. Like I was so restrictive for so long and I could never lose the weight. And then as
Mm-hmm.
soon as I was like, no, take the restrictions off, you start becoming
Mm-hmm.
aware of what you truly want. And it's like, then the cookies are sitting there and you're like, do I really want a cookie? And you're like, actually, I don't. And it's that
Mm-hmm.
same process when you become aware and you start to make that shift and that, especially the identity shift. Cool. Okay, so what about the opposite end of the stick? So I have also a lot of clients who come to me and they don't feel worthy of spending their money. And at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
because they never spend, it seems like their money never grows, if that makes sense. So if you have a
Mm-hmm.
client come to you and they're like kind of living in like that scarcity, like never spending, oh, I don't even feel like I should deserve to go get a massage ever. What
Mm-hmm.
does that look like? How do you help that client?
Yes, so that is really awesome when a woman tells me that because I we focus a lot about what do you want, right? And this is something women don't do a lot, give themselves permission to dream. We have like in the beginning working with them, I always ask them, what do you want? And they're so afraid. Like they give me simple goals like I want to go on vacation or I want to buy my husband a gift or something very simple, which is fine. That's great. But then I'm like, I push the envelope. I'm like, let's go further. Let's go be really bold, right?
Yeah.
Let's like break all the rules. What would you want if anything was available to you? And that starts to get their juices going and then start to be like, real, I actually would like to own a home and I want a vacation home too. And then they get excited. So when I can get you excited into what is possible for you, the next natural next step is how do we make that happen? How do you actually get that desire to become a reality? Right? So we're building the awareness of who you are, how you got here, but also like can you like get clear on what you want and who you can become and what's possible for you? And once that gets you super excited, then money is not just this scary thing that you need to hug and keep. It's this thing that you can now use and allow that to expand you into this vision that you've now have because this vision is not just a dream. I teach my clients to dream. Like really, when we were kids, I remember sitting with my sisters and we would like dream about who it would be as adults and what life we would want to create. And then when we become adult, we forget that. So I bring my clients back there. Let's dream again. We should always be dreaming. We have this amazing brain that is like fueled on imagination. And that imagination gets you excited. And then that's when the conservative woman, the the saver, she starts to realize, wait, I can like have a little bit more fun. I can enjoy life a little bit more. That gets you going. And then you start to see money is a tool. You don't hug it, you don't overspend it, you treat it with respect as you treat yourself with respect. And it's just a beautiful relationship that you build.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. We don't we don't squeeze our friends to death.
No, I love that picture. I love that. And that's what happens, right?
You're
You're holding
definitely
onto it so tight. Yes.
yeah. Yeah, and when you are holding it so tight, and this is the way I think of it, when you're holding it so tight and you know, I think of it just like telling my friend like, "No, you can't leave my house. You got to
Mhm.
stay here." And it's like then your friend's like, "I don't ever want to come back. Why would I
That's
want to come
creepy.
back?"
You're creepy. Don't be weird. You're
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so tell us a little bit about the process of paying off debt.
Yes. So there are very standard ways that people pay off debt. There's multiple, there's like different uh forget what the word is now, but my we have a training in our program teaching you about the different methods. There you go. Methods is the word I was looking for. Different methods that you want to use to pay off the debt. But I promise you, the logisticals about money, they have to be fueled by your identity.
Mhm.
Absolutely. You cannot approach debt repayment with the same identity you have of the woman who took on that debt. Because that woman who took on the debt, especially in the past, without before working with me, you took the debt out of some type of negative emotion,
Mm.
right? It wasn't from abundance. So we need to build your relationship with the debt first. And that's what the training in my program is first grounded on. Build your relationship with the debt. And I even teach my clients love your debt. That sounds crazy, but it's actually how you do it. So you love the debt, you appreciate it. I know that sounds insane, like for real. If you want to be practical, it sounds crazy, but it's the way to pay off the debt. You first appreciate it, find the value in the debt. We live in a capitalist society. I teach my clients to appreciate the capitalism that we live in. It's not a terrible thing if you need money and you can go get it. In the third world country, when you need money, you're just going to starve to death because there's no bank that's going to want to give you money if you don't have major collateral, right? So the debt is really, we're grateful for it, we're appreciative. So now, if you find yourself in a really powerful position where you use that debt as a tool, now you know, okay, so if I want, like if you want a carpet cleaner machine, you're gonna have to pay for it, right? Like, so you don't get the tool for free. So you got the debt and you invested into getting the debt. So now we need to pay it back. But when you are in that beautiful place, it allows you to create a plan, a method, use a method that works with the lifestyle you currently have so that you have so much fun repaying the debt. And here's a tip that I teach my clients that I think your audience is going to love is when you're making payments towards the debt on a regular basis every month, I want you to kiss that money. Mwah. So grateful that you have that money that you're putting away for the debt. You're paying it, right? Because guess what's happening while you're paying off the debt? You're also flexing the muscle of putting some money away.
Yes. Yes.
And when you're done paying off that debt, this is the same muscle that you can keep flexing to save money.
Mm.
So while you're paying off the debt, I always say you can save money while you're paying off the debt. You should save money while you're paying off the debt. But the amount that you're saving will be different than when you're completely done with the debt. But you've already been flexing this muscle and putting that same amount. So let's say you were paying $200 on the debt. You can just keep putting that 200 towards your savings because you already are taking 200 out of your income.
Yeah.
So do you see the value? Like that debt was the purpose was way more than just repaying the money that you borrowed. Now you can keep building the wealth from such an abundant place.
I love that analogy. Like you've built the muscle. You've built the
Yeah.
muscle. You've done the work. Yeah, it's like you're becoming that person and but you're already being her.
You already heard.
Yeah,
There's
and
no
then
mountain to climb.
Right. And if you're the kind of person who can flex that muscle and pay off the debt, then when that debt is paid off, like what can you do now? Like, how
Yes.
cool is that? Yeah.
Yes.
And even like taking that
So
money and investing it in, oh,
exactly.
yeah.
So I at the end of the year, I teach my community to calculate their interest, like their saving rate. And I want you to calculate your saving rate accurately, so like, only what you saved, but also once you do that, I want you to add how much you paid away to the debt, to the saving, so that you can see that, okay, so if I wasn't paying this debt, this is how much I would have saved for the year. How amazing. So that's a number you can start looking forward to, knowing when I pay off this debt, I'll be able to put this much aside or invest it or to do something for me with that money because that money is already there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so beautiful. I love the way you explain that. I feel like that's so helpful to really like get somebody to wrap their mind around what it actually looks like and what it means and how you can actually build that excitement for it. I
Hmm.
mean, I remember when we had like so much debt, like 20, 25,000 in debt. And I just remember like I used to avoid it, like I would
Hmm.
turn my face to like, oh, I don't ever want to open my bank account. But it just kept growing and growing and growing because I was avoiding it. But when we finally started like opening it up, and this took a lot of like me regulating my nervous system because I would get on and I would literally like my butt cheeks would clench and like I would
Yeah.
just like like I don't want to look at it. I don't want to look at it. But like finally like breathe through it. You're good. Like this is actually like and I love what you said, like appreciate it. Like
Hmm.
so much of my life came from that debt and the value that came from that debt. And now yeah, that's just such a
Yeah.
beautiful way. I wish I would have had that tool when I was going through that. Thank you.
Me too. Me too. All I knew back then was I would take credit and I thought credit was an extension of my bank account, so I would just swipe it like, and then once it's swiped and I have this pile of debt, then I would dread it and I would not look. I remember when I started thinking about, okay, I really need to know my numbers. Like I really want to do this. And I call this a fugue moment because I would like finally give myself, push myself to sit down and really look. And next thing I know, it's been 2 weeks. And then like I would have a memory like, oh wait, I was trying to look at my numbers. What happened? My nervous system was not on board. And
Mm-mm.
so I had a fugue moment where my brain just like went blank and I just got up and left without realizing what was happening. And like it was real. I was not regulated enough to sit down and do the work, right? So I had to like have conversations with myself and recognize, okay, I'm not gonna die. I promise we can look at this. We can really do this. So I would open my mail and look at the money and actually make a plan. And the few first plans didn't work because I didn't stick with them and I was complaining all the time. But eventually, the more I invested time and energy and desire into it, eventually I was able to pay off the debt and it was really a good process.
Yeah.
But yeah, I reflect often on that. I'm like, I get it. I totally understand.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's possible. It's 100% possible to pay it off. And I think a lot of people look at it from that place of like it's never going to happen. So why even look at it? But it's possible.
Yes, and it only happens the more you look at it.
Yeah. 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 Okay, so tell us a little bit about, and this is the last question I'll ask you, and then I'm going to ask you to tell us how we can work with you. Tell us a little bit about like going from cash broke to cash rich.
Yes. So it's the idea that even when you do have money, because of your current relationship with money, you don't appreciate what you have. And so you tell yourself you don't have money, but you already do have money. And it's so fascinating how I always tell my clients, I'm like, I promise you, the first month you're going to see money that you didn't even know that you had, which is true. They
Mhm.
always find hidden money because they build that awareness. It starts to notice some things, which is so interesting because I always tell them, don't change the way you spend your money. Just track, because we always track. but they do change the way they spend every single one of them. And but it does show up. They start to see, oh, right, this is what I do that makes me lose this money, right? I have a client who used to think that she would run out of food because of some programming she had, but in reality, she had a freezer, a long, deep freezer that was full of food. So she didn't need to buy more food. She was safe. But in her mind, she wasn't. So when you start to gain that awareness, you start to notice, oh, so you do have some cash. So you're basically cash broke because you're thinking you don't have money. But when you build awareness and you start going through the process of clarity and consistency, you land in, oh, I actually am cash rich. I have cash. I have more money than I thought I did. And that allows you to create more money because you clear out a lot of junk that was standing in the way of you spending your money in a way that feels really good. So women want to spend money guilt free with no regrets. That's you can do that now. You know how to save money without worrying that you're going to go back and tap into that savings account. You know how to have money and just be okay with having lots of money in the bank without having to touch it. There's no itch, there's no urge to spend the money. And you know how to plan money for the future and invest money and use different financial tools to build your wealth. You know how to talk about money in a way that feels really good and not restrictive. All of that is part of you being cash rich.
Yeah. I think too in today's day and age, and this is something that my husband and I noticed when we started kind of like tracking our spending more, we're like, oh my gosh, the amount of subscriptions we have is
Mhm.
unreal. It's like we haven't even watched like Paramount Plus in forever, and we haven't watched Hulu in forever, especially so we will like we keep them during the winter time, but then in the summertime we're out camping and doing all the things. So then we close out the accounts, and we're lucky that they let us do that because
That's awesome.
then we
That's
don't
awesome.
we're not paying for them throughout the year. And then I know that that seems so very little, but when you start closing down those accounts, like especially when you're out for the summer, like all of a sudden that like you have extra cash to spend
Yeah.
to, put towards gas to go camping or all of the things. And it's yeah, yeah.
And you say and you say it's little, and I agree. It's little things that, but this is the part of where I tell women to take themselves
Mm.
seriously enough because the little things are what matter, right? It's
Yes.
in the little things and it's in the big things. But you don't get to the big things if you're not paying attention to the little things. So you don't want, there's always that voice, and I think that it really comes from the society we live in, like a little voice in the back of your head that's telling you, what's the whole point, you know? Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just this one $5 bill. But like it does matter. Um, you don't want to be thinking about money all of the time, but when you are in a relationship where you're not creating the results you want with your money, you are thinking about your money all of the time.
Yeah.
So the work we're doing together is not like you're trying to avoid it because you don't want to think about money all the time. You already are thinking about money all the time. So now you just want to move on to, let me take my money seriously and pay attention to every single one of my dollars and make sure that they're serving a purpose for me, that the decisions that I make are deliberate decisions, intentional ones, and then you can grow from there because you'll start to realize things are not really what brings me true happiness. It's experiences and the people around me. For most people, that's what it is. And if you want things, get the things. I love spending money, right? But do it intentionally, purposefully, deliberately, because that's what you want.
Yeah, yeah, because it's what I want. And I love what you
Yeah.
said about like that every dollar matters. And when you treat
Yes.
every dollar like it matters, every dollar, it's a that relationship again, that energetic relationship. When you're bringing your friends in and they matter, they're gonna come
They want
back.
to come back
They
and
want
they
to
want to
come back.
stay. They want to
And then there's
stay.
that flow.
And they bring other friends.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. You become a host to money. It wants to
Yes.
come and go, and then just expand.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, what is the one last piece of advice that you would like to share? And then also tell us a little bit about how we can work with you.
So one piece of advice that I always like to share with women is I want you to expand your relationship with possibility.
Mm.
This is really important. Again, when we were young kids, possibility was all we thought about, right? What else am I gonna, I can't wait to turn 11. I'm 11 and a half. Dreaming about what's available for you, wanting more and desiring and making plans for the future. I want all women to go back to that mindset and wanting more and trusting that there's more. Because if you look at your life right now, and let's say you have another 50 years to live or another 70 years to live, right? Like that's yours. And you cannot, no one knows what's going to happen in those 70 years. You already know what has happened in the last 30 years, the last 50 years. But what's coming is yours to decide. So build your relationship with possibility by dreaming and desiring more and giving yourself permission to be ambitious and loving that ambition inside of you and not allowing anyone to tell you what's available for you. So just dreaming and knowing that you are the creator of your future. I teach my clients a financially confident woman happens to life. Life doesn't happen to her because she knows that the future is hers. And that's your relationship with possibility. What you want is possible if you keep wanting it and then you start taking the actions to make that happen. Anything you want, really. So that's what I want to say because you want to work from an empowered place instead of, I don't know, let's hope. No, we don't hope. We make it happen
Yeah.
because we can.
We make
Yeah.
it happen. I like that. That's like a
Yes.
new mantra to put. Those of you listening, take out a sticky note if you can right now and just write it, on there and just slap it in front of your mirror every day. We make it happen. Like that's the kind
Yes.
of person I am. I love that.
That's right.
Yes. Okay, tell us
So,
how we can work with you.
yes. So I have my 1 year program that I am in love with. It's called Money Academy. And this is for women who are ready to really build that relationship with money because they want to grow more of their money intentionally, but at their own pace, which is something I love doing. I don't want to rush the timing of anything in life. And I also have the one-on-one opportunity where you can work with all four coaches one-on-one, week after week for 6 months. And this is for the woman who wants to grow her relationship with money, but she also wants to get accelerated process, the progress. And a lot of the women that do sign up for this program are women who have a lot of debt and they really want to tackle it right away. And so you want to jump in and attack it, but because you want to attack your debt from a different mindset, that's why it requires that one-on-one presence week after week after week. So that would be the two ways. And this one I call it Sapphire Design, is where
Mhm.
you design your life on purpose. It's so fun. I love
I love that name.
gems. Yes, it's
Yeah, it makes me feel like all tingly inside, Sapphire.
right. So you're gonna work hard, but it's gonna be so fun because you're actually designing and creating, crafting your future on purpose. So it's either Sapphire Design or Money Academy. And also I have my podcast that you can listen to for to get you all prepared and ready to go.
Yeah. Tell us what your podcast name is.
Oh, spend your money guilt free.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Guilt-free.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. I am talking about my class. It's similar names and it totally threw me off. Hang on.
I've
That
done that
is
so many times.
Oh my gosh. The Guilt-Free Spending podcast. Wow.
Yeah.
I've had my
Oh,
master class on my mind. And so that's what it's been like repeating over and over. So the
yes.
podcast is Guilt-Free Spending.
Okay, but you have a master class that, can be checked out
Yes.
too. Okay.
Yes, I do. I have a master class coming up and is how to spend your money guilt-free. Do you see why I would be confused?
Yes. Okay, so we'll get that link too and put it in the
Yeah.
show notes so that everyone can join with that as well. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. I feel like there's so much wisdom and knowledge that we can take and move forward with. And I encourage those listening, like, what is one piece of wisdom that you're going to move forward with and take that action item and run with it? A lot of times we listen to podcasts and we just consume, but then we never actually go and implement it. So this is a good time for you to be like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna stop right now. I'm gonna write this down." If you're driving, don't don't wreck. But take this moment to really just embed in your mind like what it is that you're going to move forward with, because this is where we actually change and we step into that identity of the wealthy woman. So,
Yes, awesome. And thank you so much for having me. I love talking about money. I think more women need to talk about money. So this was
yes.
definitely enjoyable.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those taboo topics, but the more we talk about it, the more it's comfortable. I mean, it's like women breastfeeding in the workplace. You know, when I was breastfeeding my son, like we didn't talk about that kind of stuff. But nowadays, like I have multiple women in our office who are like breastfeeding and we talk about all the things. It doesn't need to be taboo. Money
No,
doesn't need to be taboo.
no.
It's a tool that we use to grow our experiences. So,
Money is a very important tool that we should just like put all the lights on. And so, because there's plenty of it, it's renewable, it's available for everyone, and we can all have lots of it. And so the more we talk about it, the more available it becomes.
yeah. Yeah, so beautiful. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you.